Yeah, I gotcha. It's okay. Yeah, Facebook's always a problem. Yeah, that's what's it doing? Right? Well, share the screen in the bottom of this window where my face is. There's a little monitor with an arrow on it. No. Oh, all right. That's fine. Hello. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Sure. My name is obviously Mike Aguilar, and the official title is Director of Esports and Co-Curricular Innovation at the University of Oklahoma. And I've been developing now in this energy since 2016, and now has formalized the institutional support, at least the start of it, as of September 1 of this year, just last month. And so I've been a gamer my entire life since the mid 80s, starting with the Atari 2600 and then evolving in time with everything since then. So slamming Nintendo cartridges in a console in the late 80s and the early 90s to the birth of online multiplayer with things like BattleNet and StarCraft in the late 90s and early 2000s, and the evolution of the birth of modern day esports as we see it today, and now tying it in with academic curriculum. And I will definitely say that this specific role, this career path that I've now found myself in, has called upon every single skill set I have. I also have undergrad in IT and a master's of business administration, as well as being a 6-year veteran in the Army, and have worked in public service as well as other industries that are in the technology focus too. Right. Okay. So first and foremost, a lot of people automatically will default to it's just playing video games. And so the whole point of things like this is to help you educate that yes, that's a core part of it, but there's more. And there's two words that get thrown around, and they do need some clear delineation. First of all, there's gaming, and then there's esports. They are kind of the same thing, but they're kind of different too. Gaming can best be summarized as playing a pickup game of basketball with your friends at a local court. Esports, however, is the NBA Finals. That's all that production, all of that team development, all of that marketing, business practicum, venue operations. And so that's the difference. At the end of the result, it's just people playing basketball, right? It's just in a different wrapper. And so gaming is the stuff where you're playing Mario Kart on the couch with your friends, and esports is competing for some kind of prize in a formalized state and at the highest tier, just like in conventional sports. Mhm. Right. So one of the easiest ways to draw parallels, and this isn't going to be relatable to everyone, but it's definitely relatable to a large pool, is if we break down traditional sports, entertainment, and athletics in general. Yeah, right. So then we can start talking about team building and the opportunities of soft skills development, compromise, give and take, strategy as a collective force and roster, or Rocket League, which is a three-man roster, requires team synergy. It requires team development. It requires analytical play-by-play, looking back at footage, looking at what worked, what didn't work, doing research on the other team to build strategies against it. All of that translates. It's just people don't see that. They only see the end result of the game itself. But that's one avenue only. And when we talk about the topic and opportunity of esports overall. So playing the game is absolutely critical. It's the showcase piece. It's the thing that we consume at the end of the day. It's the thing as the entertainment side or as youth. They're predominantly focused entertainment. It's heavy journalistic and business practicum energies. So I'll reference Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But if Kobe wasn't interviewed, if he wasn't, his games weren't featured, if they didn't do articles on his past, would we truly have known who Kobe Bryant was? No. It's not that he wouldn't be any less skillful or any less talented, but unless someone's telling that story and control and presenting a narrative and producing the entertainment. So in esports, it's the same thing. You have to have those personas that are doing the play-by-play action, the color casting, the analytical review. You have to have those narratives that control the drama and make it entertaining, which then starts to feed in opportunities for sponsorships and tie-ins for other industry synergies. So in traditional sports, you have sports medicine. In esports, at the highest tier, you also have sports medicine. And yes, it may not look exactly the same. It may not be doing this ridiculous workout regimen in correlation to the specific topic, but blood circulation training and just kind of getting up and getting moving around is critical to making sure your mental acuity stays in tune as long as possible, aka endurance training. So these things have parallel opportunities that a lot of people don't think about when we're talking about the highest form and the highest tier of competition in video games. Now, we all can relate, especially if viewers are used to having or are in a situation where they're in an office job or are currently dealing with impacts because of current pandemic, where if you're sitting down all day and definitely past that 2 hour, 15-minute break kind of interval, you definitely feel more lethargic versus getting up and moving throughout the day to prolong your energy and keep you at a pretty positive energy flow. And this is also no different. So sure, exactly. Decided pretty much any sport in the US. So organized entertainment sport, whether it's third largest consumed throughout the year, be on track to match the NFL in revenue, right? So that the growth potential of this is that obviously have kids, okay, and now there's opportunities for them. So one, it's very surreal. 17 when we were spinning up at one of the convention centers down there called OP, the Dallas Fuel, and it's of course the energy on the stage with before them, where they are able to quite a strong brand power in the region. And then also pretty much winning on, and also the drama and the like. It's hard, but if you've ever been, you came together and you are defeated or you are successful in your accomplishment at the end of that season, you know exactly what that energy is because it's the exact same one. It is what more could we do? What more could we do? Sure, sure. It doesn't definitely has those paths. Right. Absolutely. Right. Right. So let's dive into that actually. Let's talk about what that pipeline looks like and what's developing. And I mean, for years, we have peers across the globe and that we develop our network. And so at this time, right now, October 1, 2020, we also have universities across the US and across the globe that do offer scholarships for curriculum, meaning that if you wanted to go down the path of journalism or curriculum or communications and things like that, to start deciding what they want to do post high school, then the audience that should be watching this or that is watching this in the next 4 to 5 years when it becomes a viable concern to look for your future, you will have a plethora of energies both in and outside of this. And I do want to take a moment and talk about, well, what are the actually reference the fact TBS covers esports with their brand franchise, the play-by-play like a Chic. And then we still have the analysts that are behind them that are feeding them those numbers unfolding in front of you. In China specifically, granted, I know that's not here, far departure from that, but esports is a global sport. The Nest in Beijing, which the Olympics couldn't even do. And so now we're talking about viewership that's higher than the Super Bowl, which is a staple in the US. So, or all the way down to K through 6, more and more opportunities growing day by day. The bigger schools are now starting to get involved, like opportunities will grow exponentially as well. In general, international business is a huge one. They're just collegiate coaches. Then we can feed high school coaches. Brought us together is actually 2017 because privately, and that page, and it's because of them. It takes a very special person to be a public servant to say positive way, just like we see athletics important and developing regardless of the pandemic, right? Socioeconomic status, and regardless if you want to. And so this is a huge equalizer. Imagine act of other engagement energies to improve their disposition and work towards something that they're. Well, Wish Oklahoma, specifically our branch, and for youth in need, I'm definitely highlighting some of success and opportunities outside of the competition avenue is something rich, whether it's a TikTok dance, they're singing music for emotional draw. And those are all synergies that you find inside of a creative media production or a video production type course. And so one of the other benefits that we'll be looking at as another means to also establish more options, not just at OU, but to help raise the community collectively, is starting to look at the vocational schools. And because in your books or is in your future, or you think that it's a good fit, and whether you choose to go right out of the box post high school. And I want to emphasize, I was at OU before I was at Oklahoma County, passionate about it, and I connect with people and I go a society.
To feel a part of something.
Yeah, there you go.
It is, and how impactful that it can be to our work that we do every day. I know how important.
Obviously, see a lot of those that are not activated in the knowledge of video games on something like Twitch, and just a little bit of connection of how it can correlate, just terminology on paper versus just gamer speak as a means along the way. And cosplay has been a very favorite one, so you can bring them to life. So if you want to see the Daenerys, that's cosplay.
Oh.
We totally do that. That's so amazing. That is modern day. I can walk in and I don't have to
where
explain
everybody knows your name.
Yeah. And so that drawing that parallel makes it easier to at least understand why younger generations will invest in a content creator to provide you a show that you will regularly want to be a part of that aligns with your sensibilities at that time. It is the exact same business processes and the strategies between those two worlds. You'll find that they're actually the exact same business.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because it's a return to live television, which is also just not. And the younger generation is like, whoa, I'm good with waiting for my streamer or my persona that I follow to produce content every other day or every week. And they invest in it.
I think it's interesting you brought that up because particular streaming device or streaming platforms, and it's just interesting. Like there's so much opportunity, and I just think that we'd be open-minded to exploring the many possibilities. And I love how you touched on how it can be international, how it can be as simple as my mic was muted, and I'd like to just quickly we have these 3 really special Rocket League players that I did mention one before, but I'm going to call them all out now, and I'm sorry to embarrass you. Sorry, not sorry. But we've got Lucas, Hero, and Josh, who very consistently show up to play and have really helped us create this Rocket League community. and we're certainly on a path to. I don't know what that says. We are certainly on a path to programs and your club programs, really, and
Right.
we're looking at ways that we can partner, with OU and high schools and bring mentorship. Man, that's what our program is
Right.
predominantly about: is being able to have a person who kind of looks like you, who kind of thinks like you, who's older than you, that you look up to, saying like, "Hey, let's play this game together. Let's talk a little
Right.
bit about life too. Like, how are you feeling during COVID?" And we certainly have taken advantage of that through using Discord. And again, I'm such a noob, really. Like, I don't know all the things, but it's been really cool to have those kids involved. And if you're a 5th and 6th grader in OKCPS and interested in participating in our league, please sign up. There are some big things on the horizon for this program, and can't wait to explore what's going to happen. Just really thankful for everybody, man. I just had a moment there. I'm sorry I had to come off my
no,
soapbox.
It's great. I do. Again, just kind of to drive this point home, especially for the youth that are watching and the parents. The end message that you should take away from this is everything in balance. If you train hard as an athlete, and you will burn yourself out, you will injure yourself. You have
Right.
to take rests. This is no different. It just doesn't look the same, but it's the same mentality. It's the same strategy. You want to be good at something, you have to work at it. But that means you have to balance yourself out. That means eating right, having a focus on wellness, practice as well. Be intentional with your practice. 5 hours straight, if you're training to be a competitor, is actually counterproductive. An hour on, take a small break. Another hour on, take a small break. Maybe 2, and then take a break. Go walk the dog. Go outside and just kick the ball around or something. You will find that you're actually retaining your skills when you first started the day fresh, much longer throughout the day, and actually wiring your muscle memory much better. So it's as simple as that. And these are things that are not new in the context of development and training for anything
Right.
that you should work for that takes effort. In the state of Oklahoma, there's now all the competitors that we have available to us within the state. Just know that we also have opportunities elsewhere. And so that's significant because it's no with it. Because if we're just
Right.
sitting here emphasizing a lot of the potential of this now plus $1 billion industry growing, and that industry is every year for the last 5 years. And so the opportunities, again, will only continue to grow. But this is where, picking the brains, obviously I'm one resource in our backyard. But these are the ones where I'll say, hey, you know what? Yes, I'm gonna spill the beans for what OU is doing to you because I want you to come here. However, OU may not be your best fit, and that's fine. But if you're passionate about this right now, especially any entry into the esports sector as a student, as somebody who's passionate about this, elevates the entire scene right now because it's not a mainstream topic.
Right.
The day that calls like this and interviews like this to a general audience are no longer about defining what esports is and more about what we're doing with it is the day that it's finally mainstream. And so I still have probably 2 to 4 or 5 years ahead of me of having
Just
an introductory
educating.
to a conference, saying, what is this? And until that day happens, then we can't say that only this place has that or that place has this. We all have to come together and elevate each other equally, because at the end of the day, yes, I'm going to have to be competitive with other universities naturally, but I'm also going to have to be collaborative with them, and I'm going to also have to be. It's important for me to take care of our backyard and our front yard in that way, and I always to keep kids out of that path, or if they are in other universities, even spin up stuff. But they're not thinking about the intention and the scope potential of what this can bring.